Hello and welcome to another weekend's Punters Guide. Looking forward to the action at Haydock and Beverley this weekend with Jason Weaver alongside, as always. We'll get stuck into that shortly. It's a decent fair this weekend, but there's a little bit of a lull. We've got Royal Ascot to look forward to in 10 days' time, after coming off the back of what was a fantastic Betfred Derby festival.
Yeah, it was an absolute super Friday and Saturday, wasn't it? I think we got Dettori's spectacular double on the Friday. And then August Rodin was a very worthy Betfred Derby winner. I think the second comes out with a lot of credit, and King of Steel, because they were such a long way clear. We didn't get anybody disrupting. We had somebody run on the track once the race had started. But all in all, efforts from everybody, and it went off early, and it's all up for debate where it ends up. You never know. You never know where the Betfred Derby could end up, time-wise or day-wise. Who knows?
No, certainly lots to think about and look forward to. And yes, maybe those maybe the 3 or 4 will clash again in 3 weeks' time in the Irish version. But we'll look forward to the weekend here. We're starting at the Haydock. Obviously, a lot of thunderstorms forecast potentially on Saturday, which could change the ground. But we're going to start on good to firm it looks. And we start with a sprint. We were talking about this a little earlier off air. We've seen all but one of these in the last 3 weeks. It's one of those, although it's a listed race, one of those sprints where you get the feeling it could be somebody else's turn this week. Yeah,
they're absolutely all on top of each other, aren't they? You can go round and round. Regional's going to make a good fist of it. Corker has had no luck whatsoever. And if you were part of his team, you'll be thinking he's surely going to pop up soon. Clarendon House, Racel, who's last year's winner, are drawn out on a wing in 1 and 2. But I'm hopeful. I mean, if you look strictly at the form, you're going to say that Equilateral's going to win. Dettori in great form. It looks straightforward. And he has got the fence. Wasn't it very weird there, the last meeting, that they raced in a line coming up there, whether it was 5 or 6 furlongs like that? And if you were to draw a diagonal across the line from the high numbers up against the fence, that's where they were winning all the way back across. It was like a staggered run across. So there's got to have been something in that, i.e. quicker down the stand side rail. If it plays the same, Neil Callan, he doesn't, just take it, with a pinch of salt. He'll have looked at the bias of the track. He's riding over in Hong Kong for a good time. And Clarendon House ran a cracker in the dash behind Novello from a very low draw. Of course, we know about what happened with the starting stalls. But I think, look, if he gets away on terms and he does a right-hand turn, he's only got 8 spots to get over towards that stand side rail and make sure that he causes quite a bit of traffic in behind. So, look, I've been round and round. I'll stick with Clarendon House. Is it his turn?
It could be. He ran a cracker in the dash. Maybe that's the way of getting across at a draw bias. Just make the stalls open a little bit later. Right, let's move on to the 150 then. This is an interesting one because, all right, it's a 6 furlong handicap 40, but the one that caught my eye has to be All the King's Men. He was flying home at Epsom over an extended mile. 8 days later, Ryan Moore booked, dropping him back to 6.
Yeah, it's a weird one. And if you run back, that was on Oaks Day, wasn't it? And if you look back at that run, literally 3 strides past the line, he's in front. Like he absolutely flew home. Very, very strange that he drops back down in trip. Lots of these are on a bit of a recovery mission. The likes of Lethal Nymph was well punted for his return. Didn't happen for him. Kieran Schumacher takes over. Ratir is one of those who's got strong form behind Probe on his return. I think the Julie Camacho team are in really good form at the moment. James Doyle is booked. If you were to look at a race at the Epsom meeting as well and see a horse who ran totally against the bias, it's got to be Mr. Wagyu. It has to be. He was the only one who went handy in that race and still managed to hold on to be there at the finish. Badri, the winner, came from the clouds. This is his time of year. He's drawn well in 11. I think that Mr. Wagyu, even though he's lumping top weight, is going to take an awful lot of beating.
Yeah, I thought you were an absolute cracker as well at Epsom. You say up in the van throughout a race that he'd won, of course, the previous year. Right, move on to the 225 over a mile and a half. 10 set to go to post here. Big question marks on the Charlie Appleby form for Godolphin, but Saeed Bin Saror, he's only had 19 runners so far this season. 6 of them have won, and he's double-handed here with a couple of interesting runners.
Yeah, and look, how much do we read into the jockey bookings? You know, Kieran Schumacher, Global Heat, Louis Stewart, who does ride quite a bit for the stable. He's on the one who's returning from a mammoth layoff. I remember him winning a good staying handicap up on the July course back in 2021, and we didn't see him after the back end of that season. So a huge layoff. A few that are on the recoveries, again, Get Shirty. He's an old Newton Cup winner around here. He's been in much, much better company the last twice, and it hasn't happened for him. And you got One Smooth Operator, who was just behind Good Show. That was up at Hamilton when they met last time. That form will probably be turned around. Look, TJ Kent, not a name that everybody is familiar with, but his team have been operating at a fairly small level. He's in Newmarket. He spent a long time with Michael Jarvis, the late, great Michael Jarvis. This, for me, has got to be one of the most expensive horses he's had in the yard. 100,000 from the sales from Charlie Appleby's. His best form, career best, was winning over 1.25 miles at Sandown in a real trappy contest. He disappointed. He bombed out. He was beaten 60 lengths when we last saw him. He's much better than that. Not like this team to spend 100 grand willy-nilly. 16-1 he was. I think he's a massive each-way player.
Interesting. Cosmic Desert, yes, stable debut for the Kent team. One out of the park there, hopefully, for Jason. Right, move on to the 3 o'clock. It is the Pinnacle Stakes. Now it is registered as this Leicester Piggott Stakes, another race named after the long fellow. 6 go to post. Frankie Dettori's on Mimikyu, who's got a penalty. I was drawn to the beautifully bred Time Lock right at the bottom. Ryan Moore on the plate. Yeah,
well, talk about the pedigrees. Time Lock, fantastic pedigree. Modara, a full sister to Ben Battle, 13-length winner, and also 3.5 at Chelmsford as well. So 16.5 lengths combined winning total for 2 races, but both of them on the all-weather. Was beaten in a little novice maiden contest up at Yarmouth on racecourse debut. So she's going to be punted off the boards as the sexy runner, if you think. Dettori will definitely be back. Mimikyu ran well with the penalty. Kieran O'Neill on board last time, got beat a whisker. Dettori takes over. And if the German runner doesn't look good enough. Sea Silk Road was second in the Ribblesdale. That's her best. But Time Lock down the bottom. Roger Charlton, Harry and Roger were having a woeful time, weren't they? An awful run. And then things have turned. They had a winner at Yarmouth the other evening, and they started to be in better form. Ryan Moore taking over. Yeah, she picks herself, I think.
Yeah, quite sweet on here as well. Time Lock then in the Leicester Piggott Stakes. And the final race to look at on Haydock's card is the John O'Gaunt Stakes for Group 3 over 7 furlongs. Again, a little decent contest. It's just a 6 going to post. Steve Johnson Norton, great form after the double at the Derby Festival. They've got Jumbo El Caballo, disappointing. Was since favourite for the Commonwealth Cup, went into that on a hot run. And of course, all eyes were drawn to the top one, the Australian over from Australia, being teed up for a tilt at the Platinum Jubilee.
Yeah, the astrologist is a strange one. 7.5 lengths behind Azure Blue. I think that form obviously could be upgraded, but it's still a bit of a beating over a sprint trip, isn't it? And I know Ryan is booked as well, so probably going to be a little bit too short for me and hasn't reproduced that sparkling form from Maidan, although I don't think that is particularly strong. Gorak, not good enough. Boardman, good easy win at Chester, but that's his ballpark, isn't it? 7 furlongs around here, slightly different. I have to say, the Wizard of Eye, right? He's had 6 runs over 7 furlongs. He's never had ground this quick, and I think it's absolutely ideal for him. I look back again at the run behind Modern Games at Newbury. He travelled the best in the race to about 1.5 furlongs down. He does everything for the rider. Kieran Schumacher keeps the ride again today. I think 7 furlongs on a real freewheeling track like this is going to be spot on for the Wizard.
Yeah, you're going to crack as a juvenile, didn't he, when you put him up at a big price at Newbury, I seem to remember. So, yeah, the Wizard of Eye then for Jason in the John of Gaunt. We'll pop over to the Westwood of Beverley as well, because the 3 races there, starting with the Hillary Needler. There's only Ziggy's Phoenix, who's run more than once here, but Midnight Affair, very unlucky behind potential smart type at Newmarket, and the market is certainly coming in her favour.
Yeah, looks like she's going to be the cornerstone of many an accumulator. I was stood next to the big screen in the paddock at Newmarket. Steve Parkin was not a happy man when he was checked off heels and got caught in a bit of a pocket out to the outside. The good thing was, and this is the difference a lot of people don't take into account, her winning opportunity had gone because the winner had flown. Danny Tudhope, when he got to the outside, a less experienced jockey would have picked the pro cush up, given her what for, and got beaten half a length. As it was, he knew the winning opportunity had gone, and he let her come home hands and heels. So it was after something awful had happened, he didn't make it worse. She's bound to have benefited from that, and I can see her loving the uphill nature of the track at Beverley.
Yeah, she'll be certainly in my thoughts as well. Midnight Fair, very unlucky. I was on as well at Newmarket. Right, in the 240 as well, 7 furlongs, 10 set to go to post. She Murphy, an eye-catching booking for United from Mick Appleby's team. Not really the greatest of form, just maybe starting to turn a corner, but this is a trappy contest.
Yeah, he got off the cold list a couple of weekends ago, didn't he? At Haydock, in fact. United front, he hasn't managed to win on the turf. Everyone's going to back him off the boards because Oshin's on board. Down the bottom, course specialist Hugo Gregory got nailed by a 25-1 outsider last time, an absolute whisker, but they were all on top of each other. He's a guaranteed pace angle from 1. United front needs holding up to show his best form, but he's not going to want to give the leader too much leeway, so he'll be keeping close tabs on Hugo Gregory. See those two lads keeping an eye on each other. And of all the others, the one that I thought ran better than where she finished last time is Floral Splendor for Ian Jardine and Andrew Mullen. She's drawn in 3. She had a wide stall over the spur. I think it was 13 over the spur of 7 furlongs at York when she ran. Ended up, the winners, where did they come? Up towards the stands rail. She went back to the inside and stayed down what I think was the slower part of the track. So against the bias, wasn't disgraced. She's come down to a real handy mark. Probably was given that high perch because she was a wide margin debut winner for James Tate. Switch stables, down the handicap, got a lovely draw. I think 7 furlongs ideal.
Yeah, Floral Splendor then in the trappy. A handicap, the pick for Jason. And then we've got the Colts over the 5 furlongs of juveniles as well. We've got here 3 former winners, a runner-up on debut from the Ammo Racing Camp, which have been flying with their juveniles. And I wouldn't discount the outsider we've never seen before, but Nick Bradley, he just seems to have the knack with his juveniles.
Yeah, he does. They've had an amazing run, haven't they? It becomes the norm now. Do you remember it used to be the train? It used to be Clive Britton, didn't it? Clive Britton all the time. He ran them 100-1 shots or whatever, but they ended up running some Stormers, Needle Gun, Mystico, and all those sort of horses of yesteryear. I was taken with Room Service when I saw him win on debut. The second that he beat had won at Yarmouth and got thrown out in a steward's inquiry, Shayake. And he travelled really, really well. I thought, when you look at the market as well, he's not, i.e. going to come from the more fashionable. I think that Forster Landia will be back from the Hannon team, and Cuban Slide and Bombay Bazaar may well just be ahead of him in the market. So Room Service travelled well. No reason why he can't win. Weatherby, sharp left-hander, is going to go Beverley up the hill. When he push came to shove, he just was climbing a bit and changing his legs, so he can only improve.
Well, then, Room Service in the 2-year-old trophy, maybe a few Royal Ascot pointers with the juveniles there this weekend. Right, 8 races covered then on ITV. What will be your best bet of those this weekend?
I think that the more I've looked at it, and the more that United Front and Hugo Gregory pick themselves in that race, and they will be over punted by some way. Floral Splendor flies way, way under the radar up at Beverley. I'm not sure of the price. I don't know if you can give me some
double figures, yeah. Just double figures.
Well, there you go. She'd be a big each way play for me. I'm more than happy with that. I think that one of those races where 2 horses will be concentrated on to the exclusion of everything else, and she fits the bill.
Brilliant stuff. Keep an eye on Floral Splendor, all of Jason's 8 picks on ITV this weekend at Haydock and at Beverley. Of course, we are just 10 days away now from the fantastic festival that is Royal Ascot. We'll have all the build up to that as well as the official bookmaker. Whoever you are betting or backing this weekend, the very best of luck.